Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're diving into a huge legal battle that's shaking up the WordPress world. It's Automattic, the company behind Wordpress, versus WP Engine, a major WordPress hosting company. What's at the heart of this dispute? Well, it's all about money, trademarks, and the future of open source software. Let's break it down. First off, some quick background. Automattic, founded by Matt Mullenweg, is the company behind Wordpress, the software that powers over 40% of the web. WP Engine, on the other hand, is a big player in the WordPress hosting game, owned by Silver Lake, a private equity firm. So what's the beef? Automattic claims WP Engine has been making money off the WordPress brand without giving back to the community. They're saying, hey, if you're profiting from our open source work, you should either pay a royalty or contribute engineering time. Sounds fair, right? Well, WP Engine disagrees. WP Engine's response: they fired back with a lawsuit, accusing Automattic of extortion and anti-competitive practices. They argue that Automattic's demands are unreasonable and could harm the business landscape around WordPress. Now, this raises a big question: how do you balance the ideals of open source software with the practicalities of running a business? Here's the thing: open source software, like WordPress, is usually free to use, which is fantastic. But companies that build businesses around these tools need to make money somehow. And that's where things get tricky. Automattic is basically saying, if you're making bank off WordPress, you should contribute something back to keep the ecosystem healthy, but WP Engine sees it differently. They're claiming Automattic is trying to strong-arm them into paying up or providing free labor. So, who's right? Well, that's for the courts to decide. But the outcome of this case could have big implications for the future of open source software. If Automattic wins, we could see more companies adopting similar licensing agreements, basically saying, if you want to use our open source software commercially, you'll need to pay or contribute. That could make it tougher for smaller companies or independent developers to use open source tools, which could be a big deal. But if WP Engine wins, it could send a message that companies don't have to give in to these kinds of demands. On one hand, that could be a win for businesses, but on the other, it could lead to a more fragmented ecosystem, with companies developing their own versions of popular open source projects. And that's not great for community collaboration. What do you think? Now, adding to the debacle, we're talking about the controversial Stallman Report and how it could shake up the open source world. Richard Stallman, a key figure in free software, has come under fire for his political views and alleged misconduct. All the allegations regarding the sources are factual, but also not criminal. And from a man that is well known not only for creating the GNU project, but also eating unknown substances from his food, are also not surprising. So, what does this mean for the Free Software Foundation, the GNU project, and open source as a whole? The Stallman Report calls for Stallman's removal from leadership roles due to his controversial views, like his comments on sensitive issues and alleged misconduct. Would this cause reputational damage? Stallman's controversial views could hurt the Free Software Foundation's image, making it harder for people to support open source initiatives connected to him. But those views are also publicly known. Regarding the question of leadership, Stallman is a key figure in the free software movement. Removing him could create instability, but some argue that open source is bigger than any one person. He's also in his 70s, open source in general, and the GNU project in particular should be able to keep going without his direct input. This is a very, very strange report. To end on a positive note, for all you fans of Rogue Legacy, the source code for the popular roguelike platformer has just been released on GitHub. That's right, you can now dig into the code and see how it all works. But there are a few things you should know before diving in. So, here's the deal: the source code has been released under a special non-commercial license, meaning you can check it out and experiment, but you can't use it for commercial purposes. Also, it's important to note that only the source code and FNA build are included, no game assets like art or music. If you're looking to build the project, there are instructions on GitHub for setting up the build environment. It's pretty straightforward, but if you're running Ubuntu, here's a quick tip. Make sure you install Mono with the command sudo apt install mono complete and set the content file in the root directory where you're starting the application. So that's it for this first video. References are on the show notes, and goodbye.